So, there's a weird light effect happening. I don't know if you can see, there's like a dim. There's like bands of dimness. And the reason that the lighting's weird is my lights down here need to be replaced. We actually tried to replace them, but we got the wrong bulbs. And then we went on a vacation, and now we're back, and I haven't replaced them yet. So there's going to be some weird lighting in this particular one, and I apologize. I'm busy. Alright, so what am I playing? What have I finished? Well, I finally finished Resident Evil 4. I had a lot of fun with Resident Evil 4. It was a complete blast. It was a great remaster. I'm not sure I would put it on the same, I'm not sure I would say it's the best remaster that they've done. I still think that Resident Evil 2 takes that moniker because Resident Evil 2 had farther to go. Resident Evil 4 didn't have as far to go for the remaster. I mean, it was on the GameCube, and it was ported to other platforms, including the original Xbox. And so, we've already kind of had semi-modern, not exactly remasters on this level, but definitely semi-modern re-releases of it. And so yeah, I wouldn't put it in the same rarefied air as Resident Evil 2 remaster was, but it was a very good remaster. And if you have not played Resident Evil 4, this is absolutely the time to start and to try it out, because this is the best it's ever been. It really is good. There's definitely stuff in there that is showing its age. And not only showing its age, but also kind of showing the trajectory that Capcom went with the Resident Evil franchise after 4, and really after Code Veronica. I'm specifically talking about like Resident Evil 5 and 6, which leaned more heavily into the camp and more heavily into the action and less into the horror. And those are always going to be things that are going to kind of mark Resident Evil 4 down in my book, but it's still incredible. It's a very impressive remaster, and just kind of a real showcase of the RE engine. And I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I think I said in the very first video that I mentioned that I was playing this, that either they changed a lot, or I'm not remembering it. I really do have a feeling that they changed quite a bit, because as I was going through it, there was a lot of situations where it's like, oh, I got to a big set piece, and it's like, yeah, I remember this. I remember this big boss battle, or I remember this big sequence. I remember this. I remember that. But they were interspersed with long stretches that seemed drastically different from what I remembered about the game. Like, there's entire things that I remember doing that weren't in this one. One big example is I remember in the first one that you're going around on the cliffside, and there's a cave with a chest in it. And I remember having to go back out, finding a key for the chest, and coming back and opening the chest and getting some item. I didn't find anything like that in the remaster. So either they changed it too much that it was unrecognizable, or they kind of tweaked where you get the key or something, because I had nothing like that. There was nothing where I felt like I had to backtrack to a cave to open a chest. And there's a lot of little stuff like that. And I have a feeling that a lot of it is they kind of streamlined it more for modern sensibilities. But, it was a really great remaster. It was a lot of fun. It was beautiful. Like, it was visually a stunning game to behold. And yeah, I recommend it. If you haven't played Resident Evil 4, pick it up. It's great. The remaster's awesome. Alright, so that's what I finished. What have I started? Well, the big thing that I started was Final Fantasy... Roman numerals. Okay, Final Fantasy... carry the 2... 16. Final Fantasy 16. In my notes, I have it written down as Final Fantasy 18. That's not right. That's not enough of the I's. But Final Fantasy 16, I started it. So far, so good. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I enjoyed the last one that I played, which was Final Fantasy 15. I played and beat Final Fantasy 15, but other than the vehicle, I honestly couldn't tell you anything else about the game. It did not stick. There was nothing in the game that stuck. The last Final Fantasy game, single-player game, I should say, non-MMO, the last Final Fantasy game that I really enjoyed was 12. In fact, that's probably my favorite one, which I realize is a bit of a controversial take. I know a lot of people put stuff like Final Fantasy 5 up there, or 7. No, for me, my number one is Final Fantasy 12, followed by Final Fantasy 9. Those are my top two. And this one, Final Fantasy 16, there, I did it again. This one, Final Fantasy 16, the story kind of reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy 12. That same kind of grand political intrigue that's happening in the game is very reminiscent of 12, which is giving me a lot of good nostalgic vibes because I love 12 so much. I realize that it's a bit of a controversial Final Fantasy because, they've kind of dropped the classic turn-based combat for a more action combat. A combat that is inspired, I would say, a little bit by Souls-like games, but I would not call this at all a Souls-like. I know some reviewers have, and they kind of gave me at least an incorrect assessment as what the game was, because this is not a Souls game. This is an action RPG, a traditional action RPG, which I'm going to go on a little rant, a little aside rant, and I know I do these a lot, but this is one of the reasons I don't like calling Dark Souls an action RPG. I know that technically it's inside of the genre of action RPGs, but it's a really big genre, and it is probably the most removed from the other action RPGs in the genre. And this game really typifies how different Souls-like games are. Because a Souls-like game, it is an action RPG, but the emphasis on the combat is this tactical, weighty combat that you don't have here. You've got some of the trappings here. You've got dodges, and you've got the ability to parry and stuff like that. But you really lack the weighty strategy element of it, where you really have to time your attacks and time your dodges and time your counters in order to survive. This game is not that. Final Fantasy 16 is, at least so far, substantially easier. Now, I'm only a few hours in. Maybe it will ramp up in difficulty, but for now, it's really not hard at all. Its interface is a little interesting for a single-player RPG. It very much feels like an MMO. You get a whole lot of situations where dialogue slides up of the various characters that are not the main cinematics, but when you're wandering around and interacting with people, their dialogue will slide up in like a little, not really a window, but kind of a window on the left side of the screen, which makes it feel very much like an MMO. You've got a whole lot of an MMO kind of influence to its interface, which it kind of makes sense, because it's my understanding that the director of this game, the person who was, driving it internally at Square Enix, was the same person that saved Final Fantasy XIV, so it kind of makes sense that it's got a little bit of that MMO flair to it, because he worked previously on an MMO. That's not really a complaint. It's kind of more of a statement. It's kind of it's just something I found kind of interesting. If I have any complaints, it's that so far the game is entirely too linear. Final Fantasy XIII. I don't even remember which platform. What was 13 on? Was that Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era? I don't remember. Anyway, Final Fantasy XIII was a game that it was linear up until the end, and then at the end, all of a sudden, it opened up this open world. But like by that point, you'd already put in like 50, 60 hours worth of gameplay, and I really kind of hated 13 for that. Like it really felt. It felt like I was just going down a series of corridors, and it was not fun. If I'm playing an RPG, I want to have some sense of exploration and discovery. You know, I want to be able to go off the beaten path. It doesn't have to be an open world game, but there has to be some level of like, I can go over here and explore these things and do side quests and stuff and kind of immerse myself in the world. That's part of the R part of RPG, or the RP part of RPG, the role-playing part. I want to go and play the role of this person in this world. And that was one of my complaints about Final Fantasy XIII, is it was very linear. And so far, 16 has been very linear. Now, like I said, I'm only a few hours in. Maybe it opens up. In fact, I did just get to a hub area, and so it seems like it's on the verge of opening up, but I haven't played it since then. So maybe next week when I talk about it, I will have more glowing things to say. But so far, it feels linear, and I don't like that. Every other aspect of the game I enjoy, but I just don't like linear RPGs. I just don't. But that's what I'm playing, Final Fantasy 16. We'll see next week if I still like it as much as I do. As far as what else I'm playing, everything else I'm playing is pretty much new. First thing, boy, that is tiny to see on that little screen. This is King of Monsters 2 for the SNES. This is a sequel to King of Monsters, which was a fighting game between like big Godzilla-style monsters. This one is a little bit slightly different because it's less about the arena battles, and I mean, it still has the arena battles in it, but there's a whole lot of like fighting minions that you didn't do before. At least I don't remember doing it before. It has been like 20 years since I played it, so maybe I don't remember. But the point is I recently got my analog Super NT, and I've been trying out games on it, and this was one that I kind of forgot about, and I enjoyed it back in the day, and I wanted to pick it up and play it again. It's also got couch co-op, so I'm going to try to get my daughter into this game. Maybe I'll even have stuff by the time I go to edit this video. Maybe we'll even have footage of us playing together that I will, put over the top of this. But we'll wait and see. But for now, I'm playing it solo, and I'm having a lot of fun. What else am I playing? I am playing... these are all the rest ones are on PC. So the first one is Time Wasters. Technically speaking, I didn't start Time Wasters recently. I have been playing it for a while. This is just like the first time that I've kind of mentioned it. Time Wasters is it's another one of these Vampire Survivors-like games. These auto-battling bullet hell style roguelites. And it's a really special one. It takes place, it's a space game, so you got spaceships shooting other ships. It vaguely has kind of an asteroids feel to it, which I really dig. I'm a big fan of asteroids. And it's one of the hallmarks of a really good Vampire Survivors clone is the gradual progression and unlocking of abilities and characters and stuff. And Time Wasters does that very, very well. And it runs great on the Steam Deck. So when we went out of town for our vacation last week. It was one of the games that I played. I don't think I mentioned it as one of the games that I was going to play, but I did play it. And I'm still playing it. It's a lot of fun. It's a blast. I don't know what else to say. I keep thinking I should do a video of, like, if you like Vampire Survivors, here's a bunch of games like Vampire Survivors that you might want to check out. And I would definitely include this in that, but, you know, I don't have time. I haven't done that. It's like what in my long list of projects that I want to do that I don't have time to do. Anyway, I'm playing Time Wasters. I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. The other 2 games that I've played are both games that I've played with my daughter. We played What the Golf, also on Steam. What the Golf is... oh, it's crazy. It's a golf game where it I don't know, it's... how would you even describe it? It's like... It is golf, sort of, but there's a lot of extra mayhem and madness that happens in it. And very rarely are you actually, you know, hitting golf balls. Like, you hit everything but golf balls. Anyway, if you play it couch multiplayer, it's a lot of fun, and it becomes kind of a party game. And so she and I played that, oh man, for hours the other day. It was a lot of fun, and I really want to go back to it. It was a blast. It's a great thing to play with friends, if you've got local friends that can play it with you. Finally, the last game that I've played is another game that I was playing co-op with my daughter. It's Doom 2. We are playing this on PC again. I don't need to tell you what Doom 2 is. It's a sequel to Doom. Came out in the 90s, first-person shooters, yada, yada, yada. But what I didn't realize, we were kind of going through Steam looking for stuff that we could play co-op together. We wanted to play Diablo 4, but Diablo 4, even with couch co-op, I had to get her a Blizzard account, and that, like, pissed us both off. So we kind of put Diablo 4 back on the shelf to try out later. But so we were looking through my Steam library, trying to find other co-op or local games that we could play together. And I saw that Doom 2 had co-op, local couch co-op, and I was like, what? I don't remember that. But it's because the Doom 2 that I have apparently has been updated with the re-release that id did a few months ago. I think it was a few months ago at this point. Anyway, and it added couch co-op, and so we played it. We played through like the first, I don't know, 5 levels of the game. Actually, we made it to the 2nd chapter, so I don't remember how many levels that is. I think the game had 3 chapters, right? Anyway, I don't remember. I've got the progress saved so that we can continue. But it's a lot of fun. The thing is, it's been a lot of fun playing video games with my daughter recently because, you know, she's growing up, which sucks, but it means she's more interested in playing, like, I don't know, games like Doom. Games that I really like playing. So it's just been a lot of fun to play with her, and yeah, Doom 2 was a blast. Anyway, that's what I'm playing. I got nothing else. I do have one other thing. I got Bunker, limited run games, and the case is broken. It got smashed in the mail. It's because they have the stupid bubble mailers. I hate the bubble mailers that limited run games is using. Anyway, that's it. See ya.